Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Page 123, Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayat 90 to 95. So let's go ahead and start with the first ayah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Ya ayyuha means all those who. Alladhina means who. Amanu means they believed. Innamal khamru. Indeed, al-khamr. Khamr is referring to the intoxicants like alcohol. والميسر and gambling. والأنصاب. Ansab refers to some of the idols that were used for people to they used to offer their sacrifice to those stones, to those idols. والأزلام. Also again different types of stones. Actually, it's Aslam is when they were using the arrows for kind of gambling. So all of these are regisun. Regis means these are evil. These are all wrong. Min amali shaitan. They are all from the work of shaitan. فاجتنبوه. So avoid it. لعلكم. So that you may be tuflihun. You may be successful. Now, this ayah has a story behind it. There is the occasion of revelation or sha'n nuzul. In both Shia and Sunni tafsir, different reports are mentioned about the occasion of revelation of this verse, but they are generally similar. Among them is one that was narrated from Musnad Ahmad, which is one of the 6 reliable books among the Ahl Sunnah. Also Sunan Abi Dawud, Sunan Nasa'i, and Jami' Tirmidhi. All of these are Sunni resources that Umar ibn Khattab, who according to the Tafsir fi Zilal al-Quran, volume 3, had a strong liking for drinking wine. So even their resource is mentioning that. Used to pray and say, oh God, give us a clear explanation about wine. Like he was really obsessed with drinking wine. And then he was asking Allah, Allah, please tell us about wine. What's the ruling? And when verse 219 of Surah Al-Baqarah was revealed, which is يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس. They ask you about wine and gambling. قل فيهما إثم كبير. Say, O Prophet, tell them that in them there is a big sin and some benefits. وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما. But their sin is bigger than their benefit. The Prophet Muhammad recited it to him, but he continued praying and asked for a more clear explanation. Then the verse 43 of Surah Nisa was revealed, which says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم I think it's khumr. I'm not sure. Don't approach the prayer while you are intoxicated. It means that while you are drunk, don't approach the prayer. This was revealed. Then the Prophet recited it to him as well, but he still continued praying and asking for more clarification. Finally, this verse, which is the current page that we are looking at, ayah number 90 of Surah Al-Ma'idah was revealed, which has very strong clarity on the matter. Was revealed when the Prophet recited it to him. He said, okay, we stop. So because it's very clear, it says that avoid it. Like the previous ayats were not very clearly saying that avoid it. It was just saying that, yeah, there are some benefits, there are some like harms in it, or don't pray while you are drunk. But this ayah clearly says these are all from the amal shaitan. فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ. So avoid it. So after hearing this, then Omar said, we stop. We will refrain from drinking wine. So as you see that the ruling for prohibiting wine had some steps like levels. It was gradual prohibition. Drinking wine was extremely widespread during the age of ignorance before Islam and had become a major social problem. Some of the historians even said that the pre-Islamic Arabs' passion was around three things. So they were obsessed with poetry, wine, and war. These three things. If Islam, so you might ask, okay, why does Quran first say, okay, don't approach Salat while you're drunk? Or why, like, it's very gradual, like, it's very gentle at the beginning, and then after steps at the end, it says avoid it. Why Quran doesn't say avoid it at the beginning? So the answer is based on the tafsir. If Islam had tried to eliminate this widespread social problem suddenly without considering psychological and social principles, it would not have been possible, and people would reject it. Therefore, Islam used a gradual method to prepare people mentally and socially to abandon drinking and say it's haram gradually. First, some Meccan verses hinted at the ugliness of wine, but because the habit was deeply rooted, this was not enough. After Muslims migrated to Medina and the first Islamic government formed, the second stage came, which was in Surah Baqarah, which spoke more firmly against wine. Finally, the ultimate ruling, this verse, was revealed with full clarity and like firmness, so that even those seeking excuses could not object this. In this verse, wine is placed alongside idol worship, gambling, and the practice of the gambling with arrows, and described as impure and from shaitan, which says, O believers, wine, indeed wine, gambling, idols, and diving arrows are filth from Satan's work, and avoid them so that you may be successful. What is ansab? As I mentioned, ansab refers to idols without specific shape, just stones. Placing wine and gambling alongside idol worship shows how dangerous they are. And it's narrated why, like, you see that, like, drinking is next to the idol worshiper, right? And then there is a hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam which says the wine drinker is like an idol worshiper. Like, the evil of this action is so much. Now, the next ayah is also related to the ayah and about prohibiting from drinking and gambling. Innama, that means only. Yuridu shaitan, yurid wants, shaitan. So that means shaitan only wants. And to yugh'a, cause. Bainakum, bain means among, and kum means you. Bainakum, between you. Al-adawa means like enmity. You become like enemies of each other. Wal-baghdha, and hatred. Fil khamr wal maisir, through khamr, uh, again, drinking or intoxicants, and gambling. وَيَصُدَّكُمْ, and he wants to stop you or distract you and from dhikrillah, from the remembrance of Allah, وَعَنِ الصَّلَاةِ, and from the prayer, from salah. فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ, it's the question. So will you not desist? Will you not stop doing that? This verse mentions some harms of wine and gambling. So why gambling and drinking is haram? Because shaitan wants to create hatred and enmity among people through them. So basically, these are two tools for shaitan to cause enmity and hatred among people and prevent them from remembering Allah and performing prayer. The verse ends with this question, that will you then not stop? Meaning, after all these warnings, is there any room left for doubt or excuses? So, like this last part of the ayah has that concept that, like, is there any other excuse? Even Omar, who earlier felt the previous verses were not strong enough, considered this final statement fully convincing. And then, even to emphasize more on um, like obeying what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says regarding this specific topic and other topics, the next ayah says, obey wa Allah. Wa means and, ati'u means obey Allah, wa ati'u Rasul, and obey the Rasul or the messenger. Wahdharu, and be aware. فَإِن تَوَلَّيْتُمْ, but if, and means if, tawallaytum, if you turn away, if you don't listen, fa'alamu, then know, i'lamu, know, annama, that, ala, on rasulina, on our messenger, is only al-balagul mubin, is clear notification. Basically, it's our messenger is only conveying the message. Then it's up to you to listen or not. We gave you all the warnings, and it's your job to be aware and avoid the sins and follow the Allah and His Messenger. So yeah, this ayah emphasizes and commanding Muslims that obey Allah and obey the Messenger and be aware. Then it warns that if people turn away, they will deserve punishment, and the messenger's duty is only clear delivery of the message. Okay, for the next ayat, there is an occasion of revelation or sha'n nuzul. After listening to these ayats regarding drinking and gambling, as I mentioned before, it was a very, very common thing at those times. Like before Islam, it was very common, and Arabs and people were obsessed with this. And then some of the people say, okay, um, what about what we did before we understand this rule? I mean, before this command comes, or what about our past sins? Or even what about the people who died and they didn't know about this and they used to drink? What about them? What happens to them? So let me read from the tafsir. After the prohibition of wine and gambling was revealed, some companions asked, what about Muslims who died before this ruling and had not yet stopped these actions? This verse answered them and said, those who believed and did good actions but had not yet received the ruling are not sinful for what they consumed, wine or gambling earnings, provided they later lived with piety, faith, and righteous deeds. The verse repeats 3 stages. Have taqwa, believe, do good deeds. Then have taqwa and believe. And finally, then have taqwa and do good. And concludes that Allah loves those who do good. Each level reflects a higher stage of responsibility and piety. Now let's read from the ayah. Laysa, there is no, ala, on, الذين آمنوا, those who believed, وعملوا الصالحات, and did righteous deeds. جناح, junah means blame. So that means on the people who believed in Islam and they did righteous deeds, there is no blame. فيما طعموا, in what they ate or what they consumed, regarding the wine or the money that they earned through gambling. إذا ما اتقوا وآمنوا, when they did taqwa, so like after they hear the rule, they have piety. وآمنوا, and they believed, وعملوا الصالحات, and then they continued doing righteous deeds. ثم اتقوا وآمنوا, then they had taqwa and they believed. ثم اتقوا وأحسنوا, then they had taqwa and they did good actions. Wallahu yuhibbul muhsinin. And then at the end, it mentions that Allah loves the good doers. And the reason for this repeating, why the word taqwa, see taqwa, ittaqaw, ittaqaw, ittaqaw. So 3 times it has been repeated. Amanu has been repeated. Amalus salah has been repeated. These are all for emphasis, emphasizing how important taqwa, iman, wa amal salih are. Like they are very important. And as long as they continue their faith and they are pious, so they avoid sins as soon as they understand that it's a sin, and they continue doing good actions, there is no blame in what they used to eat before they received the message of the haram act or the new order. And the next ayah, the topic is basically changed to the rule of hunting while you are in Ihram, while you are going to Hajj, Umrah or Hajj. There is a Sha'an Nuzul or occasion of revelation during the years of Hudaybiyah when Muslims were traveling for Umrah in Ihram, so they were all Muhrim. Many wild animals came very close to them. So close, they could catch them by hand or spear. These verses were revealed to forbid hunting and show that this was a test for them. Imagine you are in Ihram and then you are hungry, and then Allah sends all those like amazing like meat animals around you, very close that you can even catch them with your hand. And that was a test. These verses discuss hunting during Ihram. Allah says He will test believers with animals coming close enough to catch easily, so that those who truly fear Allah and have that taqwa and God consciousness are distinguished. Allah will distinguish between those who have taqwa and those who have not, those who fear Allah and those who are not. Anyone who transgresses after this will face painful punishments. So let's read word by word. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Ya ayyuha again. O you alladhina who amanu believed. La yabluwanna. So this phrase, look at here. This lam is the emphasizing lam, and this noon with shadda is also emphasizing noon. So these two are in Arabic grammar are used for emphasizing. So when both are coming in one phrase, that means for sure, like 2 times emphasizing. Certainly and certainly you will be tested. So Allah is testing us. Bishay'in, with something. Minas side, from hunting, through something of the hunting. Tanaluhu aidikum, those animals that tanaluhu means will reach. Aidikum, your hands. Warimahukum, and also your spears. They're so you don't need to even shoot them like with arrows. You can easily hunt them with spears. They're so close. So that's a test. Why is the test? Li is for. The reason is because. Just this tiny li means because. Ya'lam Allahu. Allah knows. Man yakhafuhu bil ghaib. Whoever fears him in secret, in unseen, or has taqwa, is pious. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But this refers to making it known for others. It's like that. I love this example that there is a student who is like failing and not studying at all. Throughout the year, nothing, like zero improvements. So the teacher knows that the student is failing, even if there is no exam. But still, the student is provided with exam and will take the test so that this fact become known for the student himself and to others. So when it says so that Allah knows who is fearing him, it's it means that Allah make it known for others, that like those people know that either they are failing or not, if they can pass the test or not. Of course, Allah is all knowing. فَمَنِ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَلَهُ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. So whoever, فَمَن means whoever, اعتدى, اعتدى, معتدي, transgressors, اعتدى, transgresses, بعد, after, ذلك, after this ruling has been announced, فَلَهُ, so for him, there will be adab, which is punishment, and alim means painful. There will be a painful punishment for them. And this ayah, again, the same topic of not hunting during the Ihram. Ayah number 95, this verse is also giving a general and firm command. O believers, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقتلوا, do not kill aside, do not kill the animals, وأنتم حرم, while you are حرم, like in the state of Ihram. Don't hunt while in Ihram. If someone hunts, they must give compensation. A similar livestock animal sacrificed and given to the poor. وَمَنْ قَتَلَهُ. Now what happens if a person does that? وَمَنْ, what's the kafara? And whoever قَتَلَهُ مِنْكُمْ, whoever among you, I'm going to just first translate minkum, whoever among you kills and hunts متعمدا, intentionally, while in ihram, فجزاء, so the penalty is مثل ما قتل من النعام, similar to what he hunted from those animals. He has to do qurbani. What? Like a small animal? No, exactly the same. So if, for example, he hunted a big animal, he has to sacrifice a big animal. مثل ما قتل, مثل ما قتل, exactly similar to what he did in size and type. Large wild animal, the qurbani can be camel. If it was a deer, for example, the qurbani can be a sheep. If there is a doubt, and if there is a doubt, two just and knowledgeable people should decide. For example, the person says, oh, I'm not sure if the size is equal to what I killed. So it says, يَحْكُمُ بِهِ ذَوَا عَدْلٍ مِّنكُمْ. Two just people should testify that, yes, this is a good qurbani for what you did. And it should reach to Kaaba. I mean, it's a qurbani that should be done in the Haram, Masjid al-Haram. هديا بالغ الكعبة. It should be delivered to the Kaaba. أو كفارة. So see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives alternatives. Feeding poor people, but the equal value. كفارة طعام مساكين. أو, again, أو means or. So if that is also not possible, fasting an equivalent amount. أو عدل ذلك, similar to that or equivalent to that, صياما, fasting. All of these options and alternative punishments are for ليذوق وبال أمره. So these compensations are to make the person feel the consequence of their action. And that's also one of the like the methods of training people by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a consequence. But Allah made it easy. If this was not possible, that one. If that is not possible, like fasting. Allah makes it like easy and provides options, but there is a consequence. How about the sins before this ruling? Afallahu amma salaf. If whatever was done before, Allah has pardoned that. Past violations are forgiven. وَمَنْ عَادَ, but whoever repeats this after the warning, فَيَنْتَقِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْهُ. Then Allah will punish him. Allah will take retribution from him. Wallahu azizun dhun intiqam. And Allah is exalted and mighty and the owner of retribution. Okay, so if there is any question or if you want to add points, because I know that some of the sisters are also reading the tafsir, I would love to hear.
Just a few points, sister.
Sure.
In Ayat 90 of Surah Maida, Allah warns us against committing haram, whatever He has stated in the divine laws and said what is halal and what is haram. And whatever is haram is for the benefit of the body and soul of a mu'min. And when we realize that science has brought out whatever is haram, which is bad for a human body, we realizes that 1400 years ago, the Prophet had given this message without the science testimonies, and because it is Allah's word. And in Surah Al-Baqarah also in verse 219, this is repeated. As many messages are repeated in different surahs, it's like a mother telling a child not to do this, it will give you harm repeatedly. So Allah is, they say, the mother in 70 times more than a real mother. In 219th verse in Baqarah, they ask you, O Muhammad, intoxicants and games of chance, say in both of them there is a great wrong and a means of some profit for men, but their sin is greater than their profit, as you have stated. And in Surah Nisa also in verse 43, as you said, it also says, O you who believe, approach not prayers whilst you are intoxicated until you know well what you say, nor when you are polluted. Now, we normally have salat is like a habit for us, but we should, when we pray, we should realize the significance of those surahs, why these surahs are recommended for salat repeatedly, especially when we say Surah Fatiha, that we promise that we want to be towards Allah, and then we deviate once we are out of His focus. According to us, if we were aware that He is a witness 24 hours a day for a man, then his taqwa will surely improve. And in even Surah Nahl also, in verse 67, it says, and in fruits of the date palm and the grapes, from which you obtain intoxicating drinks. Like He has given these fruits to be consumed, but we misuse them. And that is what it says. And the Arabic term zamar, that is wine, is derived from the root word zumur, which is a cover. Like the zimmer of a woman, that is the veil of a woman, covers the hairs, and the wine covers the wisdom of a man when he consumes it. And these, the gamblers commit a lot of crimes, and 80% have committed civil crimes, 23% are convicted, 57% gamblers confess that because they do burglary as they have lost money in gambling too. Mm-hmm. And in Surah, the next ayat 91, a great number of murders, crimes, accidents, divorces, and sicknesses are all caused by wine and liquor. And this is the philosophy of prohibition, which Allah emphasizes because it increases the social harms and spiritual losses. And even when we offer prayers, we neglect the remembrance of Allah, even when we say prayers in that condition. Thank you, sister.
Thank you very much, sister. Excellent
You're
points.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.